Hey, everybody, welcome to It Tastes Different Game Reviews. Today, we are going to be reviewing House of the Dead Remake. House of the Dead Remake released April 7th on the Nintendo Switch, developed by Megapixel Studios, published by Forever Entertainment, Maxim Games. It is a remake from the arcade game back in the, I guess that'd have been the early 80s. And it has been updated to work on consoles right now, mainly the Nintendo Switch. It is coming out the 28th, though, for pretty much all the last gen systems, PS4, Xbox One. You can also get your Stadia on and Windows. It is basically it's a FPS now and on rails. So however you want to describe that, you can go for it. So I'm pretty sure Nick is the biggest House of the Dead fan in this group, although I think we all love it in our way. So Nick, give us your thoughts.
Well, first off, I'm really surprised at how old you think this game is. It did come out in the 90s. The original one came out in 96. So it's not that old. Not
it
an
really
80s
feels
title.
old.
They did have some on-rail shooters like that back then, but definitely not House of the Dead. Yeah, this is definitely a remake. It's pretty much a recreation of the original arcade game. A one-to-one remake of it, basically. It's all pretty much plays the same and has the same kind of environments from what I can tell, from what I remember, right? It's been a long time since I played the original House of the Dead. Overall, I think the game is fun. It's an on-rail shooter. If you like those types of games, you'll like this. I mean, House of the Dead is I don't think it's the best, but it's definitely one of the top on-rail shooters. That when the big on-rail shooter craze kind of came out, we had a whole bunch of games like Time Crisis and House of the Dead and Corpse Killer and stuff like that. This was definitely up there among the greats as far as those types of games. I think it's a lot of fun to play, especially if you know what you're getting into, right? If you know it's an on-rail shooter and you like those types of games, it's a lot of fun I found it a lot of fun to play and go through. It's not a very long game. It's a very short story. There's only 4 chapters, so it doesn't take long to get through it, but they have different modes and stuff like that. You can change difficulty settings and, there's a horde mode, which is new to this version, which adds a lot more creatures on the screen, which is kind of cool. And then they have different difficulty settings and different types of waiting to score. You could do the classic scoring or the new modern scoring. And different difficulty modes. The only thing that sucks, I guess, is the multiplayer is not online. So that's crappy. But it's House of the Dead, like if you play through it, there's different ways to go through the maps, depending on if you save a scientist or not. You'll take different routes and there's different switches and there's hidden items and stuff like in the environment that you can destroy with your guns and stuff like that and pick up extra points or pick up other guns. There are other guns in the game. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I think it's a great game. It really, the worst thing about this for me is that it just makes me wish I had a light gun. That's it. I mean, you can play it with a controller, but man, I wish I had a light gun that worked on the new HD TVs, because that would be awesome. I would love for these rail shooters to come back. But if they could just make a light gun to go with it, I'd be all on board for it. What about you, Pat?
Yeah, where's my light gun? I don't like this game on the console. I was playing it the whole time and I'm going, this really sucks. The cursor is not responsive enough for what I need, or it's too touchy at times, right? When you're fighting bosses and you got to hit the target that's like this big on the screen, you're just like freaking jerking the controller all over the place, and you're like, it's either too high sensitivity or too low. There's no middle ground that I could get with it. It really made me want a light gun. I love the House of the Dead game in the arcade because of the light gun. I want a light gun. This game would be great if I had a light gun. So I guess I need to go spend the money and get one of those light guns, huh? Which actually doesn't work on the Switch, right? The light gun's only PC at this time. So I guess when this game comes out to PC towards the end of this month, or so you'll get it then. But I mean, it's the game. It's the same game, So at that point, it's just the only thing is I just wish I had the light gun. It's the same thing. I would love to play that. Plus, I'd like for a light gun to have couch co-op or something, or just co-op together on the the PC or something, or the Switch. So if we could get on the Switch and play together, that might make it a little bit better. But I mean, I did play through all of it. Get the crappy ending. Not the best ending because I don't have the. I just think that the thumbstick controls are not good enough to do this game to get a really high score on to get the better endings. So, but it's the same game. If you played it before, you know what it is. On rails shooters really need a light gun, because I'm sorry, it's just you can't shoot the things on the screen fast enough. I don't care how high you turn up the sensitivity of that thumbstick. You cannot go from shooting a zombie on the right hand side of the screen to shooting a barrel on the left side or something to get into hidden items. So that's my really only downfall of the game, is that it's just you could tell it's not built for the joystick at all. But it is House of the Dead. It was relatively inexpensive, so you know what you're getting. I just need to get a light gun now, and everybody needs to support the light gun again. Nintendo, Xbox, PlayStation, you guys get on that. We need a universal light gun. Somebody has already made it. You guys need to go out there and partner with them and buy their guns and start deploying them in packages. Next thing we'll know, we'll get Lethal Enforcer and a bunch of other games coming back. What about you, Shane?
Yeah, it sucks. I won't say it sucks. I'll just say it sucks on the Switch. So you can use the gyroscopics to play, and that's as close as you're going to get to the light gun. If your light gun was broke and shooting behind you, the gyroscopes are awful. I don't recommend it whatsoever. I kept accidentally hitting a freaking button, never figured out what it was. Kept turning it on there the first time I fired it up. I'm like, what the so I gave it a try, because I really did want to see if it worked well. No, it doesn't. So avoid that. I think and I'm sorry, Nick, I know you both believe it is a remake. It's cleaned up. It looks much better, but I still think it looks like shit, crap, poop. Sorry, whatever you guys want. It's not fun, and it was only an hour long. That's all it took me, an hour. I don't remember what we paid for it. I know we did get it a little bit of a discount because we pre-ordered. So yeah, I never want to do that again. So I'm very disappointed in the game. The voice acting was very nostalgic though. That you did get. It was cheesy and generic, but it was with passion. It was passionately generic, so I liked it. The dialogue was just terrible, like it's supposed to be. So they kept that part of it, and that part felt great. That part is about the only thing that made me think this is House of the Dead. Controls are terrible, graphics are terrible. I do like the branching story paths. I forgot about that until we were, I got through the first mission area, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. You do get all this crap when you save a scientist. I only saved like 5 the entire game. So I took most of them out myself. Oops. It's a very disappointing game. Now, I did say it sucks on Switch. I think PC would be better. PC, I think you're going to have more control on that reticule. So, I mean, like Pat said, to be that precise on a boss, or when you do get the when you only have a couple coming at you, it's not bad. But it's when you get more than that, and you get a few bats and crap coming at you. Yeah, the reticule you cannot tune good enough to really make it work, in my opinion. But enough of the good parts. Let's talk about the bad parts. It was on Switch only when we got it. And honestly, if I would have known if it was coming out just a couple weeks later on the newer, I can't say newer consoles, but on the other stuff, I probably would have preferred to play it on Xbox or PlayStation or PC. Definitely PC. And I'm not a big PC guy. I just don't like a lot of the stuff on the Switch, as far as controllers go. So, but they did try to bring something back, and I agree with you guys. This is a light gun game. Should have been a light gun game. They should have just released it straight to PC, bundled it with that light gun from that one developer, and made it $100. Throw in some light gun games. That should have been one of them, because it is a classic. I mean, it is one of the best light gun games you could play. Period. That and Revolution X. Excuse me. You guys remember that, don't you? Steven Tyler.
Yep. Gotta save Aerosmith.
Gotta shoot those CDs at the gun.
There you go, Pat. So I'm disappointed, but you guys got any positive? I mean, Pat, is there anything redeeming about this to you?
I mean, it's House of the Dead. It brings back nostalgia is what it did for me. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember all this, but I mean, it looks a lot better than it used to. I mean, it's almost it's 26-year-old game or something like that. So, I mean, it's a pretty old
just
game.
A few years older than me.
So, I mean, all honestly, it was a good game back then, but I liked it at the arcade, right? I didn't buy it when it came out on Sega Saturn or any of that stuff, and I didn't buy it on Windows. I played it in the arcade because I liked the gun aspect of it, that type of stuff. So, a lot of things, like I will say, a lot of that stuff just doesn't port well to a console or a PC just because of that whole. The game was not designed for you to take a cursor and go from the right-hand side of the screen to the left side of the screen. It's designed for you to aim a gun quicker, because I can aim a freaking light gun quicker than I can move my cursor left and right, no matter what it is. You can turn that thing all the way up to 1,000, and it's just like, oh, I missed him. You're firing off the screen.
Accuracy of a gun. You can't do that with your damn cursor. Even if you're playing a regular shooter, you're just not getting that light gun.
Right. What about you, Nick? I mean, would you rebuy this on PC when you get your light gun?
Oh, for sure. Like, I mean, I didn't mind the game on Switch. Has some issues, right? There's definitely some performance issues with this game, like some stuttering and stuff like that. And I think that comes from the Switch. I would have preferred, it's like one of the things with the whole Switch craze crap. Everybody wants everything on the Switch, but why? You're like the most underpowered piece of hardware we have out there. We want to put something onto it, maybe because I've tried it with the Joy-Cons. You can also do the gyroscope with the Pro, and I tried it with the Joy-Cons with the Pro. It sucks. Like, the only way to play it that it's actually somewhat playable is with the stick, right? I mean, you're gonna be better off using the stick than you are going to try to use the gyro. I know why they did it, because they wanted that. That's the only way they could get that light gun feel, is with the with the gyroscope, and even though PlayStation has a gyroscope too, with the whole Switch thing and the gyroscope. But nothing's going to compete with the light gun. So now if I had one of the send-in light guns, and when this comes out on PC, heck yeah, I would say screw the Switch version. I'm getting this because I want to play with the light gun. I mean, I love on-rail shooters, but without having that peripheral, that light gun, it's just makes it more difficult to enjoy them. I've played plenty with the controller, but it just makes it more difficult.
Yeah,
right.
It's trying to force a different genre into a light gun game. It just doesn't work for me.
So what we need to do is we'll strap the Joy-Con to a real pistol and see if we can work better that way until somebody shoots the TV on accident.
Note to self: unload gun.
Yeah. Because I turned on the gyroscope thing on accident too, and I'm like, where can I control this? And then I'm like, and I moved it, and I'm like, oh, how the hell did I turn that on? How do I turn it back off? Because it just doesn't work very well. I mean, the enemies come at you too quick for that to even be worthwhile. I couldn't play it with that way anyway. But yeah, this game really needs a light gun, and unfortunately, I feel a lot of on-rail shooters, like, first person style, or need that, especially if it's on rails, needs that light gun, because, it just lends too much to you having to move from one side of the screen to the corners and everything just quickly, especially when you're trying to unlock some of the areas or additional guns. It's just, by the time you kill the zombies, it's taking you too long to swing over to the other side of the screen to shoot the barrels and crap, and all the different things you can shoot to unlock and get the hidden things. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's very few of those on-rail shooters that have really, I think, worked on console. The Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles, I believe that was the one on Switch, on the Wii U. Or no, just the regular Wii, excuse me. That one played really well, as long as you had the Wiimote Plus, or whatever the heck they called it. The one that was a little bit tighter. That one was fun, but even that one wasn't perfect. And they just, I don't know. I think if you're going to release these types of games, you're just going to have to, nut up and make it guns. I mean, you really have to, because that's what people want. I mean, none of this crew wants to play with a controller on House of the Dead or, Time Crisis or any of that. Now, what they should have done is, if they were going to do this, they should have just put that time and effort into making a House of the Dead spinoff that's, more traditional gameplay type, where you're actually walking through first person shooter style. So that's just me.
Well, one thing we got to remember too is this was a Kickstarter game. So, this was, I think, more in line with a small development group that had just wanted to make a love letter to the classic, House of the Dead game and remake it for fans that wanted these light gun games to come back. So, I don't believe this was a big, huge production, development company that was putting this out here. It was a small team of guys, kickstarted the idea, did get the okay from Sega, and Sega did help out in certain aspects. I'm not sure what, maybe source code or certain things like that. But, so it is a small team, but I'm hoping, which it probably won't, but I'm hoping this will make companies look at on-rail shooters making a comeback with a light gun. Why? I don't know why that went away and never came back. I mean, as much as we've developed so much technology for these consoles and various things like that, like these light guns are just out the, they make other peripherals and crap like bongo drums and crap like that. And, we had guitars for freaking years. It's like, come on, the light gun's been gone since PlayStation 3, I think might have had the last one. So bring them back. It's time for them to come back.
Yeah. Which one was it? The VR Oculus has some really decent on-rail shooters you can play, but but I've tried them. My son hasn't. Even they work much better than this. They still don't have the light gun feel. I mean, in the game you see it as a gun, which I think lends it to feeling better as a light gun ripoff, but you still don't get the light gun feel. So. But that's just me.
That's why we still go to arcades.
Yep. And I think we're going to have to stop at one on our way to St. Louis for Geekway.
I don't know if we'll have time for that.
Not Dave or Buster's, though. They're too expensive.
Yeah.
$8 to play Lego Nintendo thing that they had over there. It was terrible. All right. You guys have anything else you'd like to add?
I'll just say one last thing. This game is only $25, so it's not a super pricey game.
I would wait for PC. I bet PC will be a lot better, so that's just my recommendation. $25 for the PC version will probably be more worth it than it was on the consoles, at least on the Switch. So that's my thought. All right. Well, guys, thanks for listening. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that little notification button there. Thanks for the feedback we've been getting. We really appreciate it. Keep it coming. Make sure you tell your friends to give us a like, subscribe, and check us out as well. Let us know what you think about light gun games, which is on-rail shooters, just the old classic arcade genres that that this game is developed from. Let us know what your thoughts are, and until next time, see ya.